Alright, so I've got it in my head that I need to hurry up and do an install of the red version of the kit, which is what everybody's getting this batch, and install it in a top loader so that we can prove that moving that connector out means we don't have to cut the HDMI cord anymore. So let's dig in. What I have here, let's see, what I've done off camera so far is the CPU and PPU are socketed, the caps are already done, I've retested it, it works. This is a fixed top loader board. Somebody had a lot of trouble removing CPU and PPU, messed up a lot of traces, and I think all I need to do is remove the 7805 from the circuit, and of course cut out the plastic, and I think I should be able to get this thing installed, and then we can take a look at it. Get my template on there, mark that out. I think another update is we should be seeing some progress on some templates soon. I was hoping to have those a long time ago and it just hasn't happened yet, but Voltar got in with a machine shop and we should actually have something besides just printing and cutting out your own template, hopefully soon. And looks like what I'm going to need to do I guess it's about the same as before. I was taking my flush cutters. These are X-Lite 170Ds. A lot of different companies make these, but mostly I was just coming back and cutting out almost this whole rib right here with the big slot here, leaving that one, and taking some needle nose and just working it out of there. But I think this time we might have to be a little more concerned about it, that rib right there getting cut flush. But first, cut out the plastic here. So if you notice, I moved my hand away when cutting like that because I've had these break. As a matter of fact, I even bought X-Acto brand blades. These are the much larger blades. This is the one that people normally use. I don't know what number that is. Can't see it. But these number 2s are much heavier duty, and I do like to swap them out. I can see this one's already worn, just so that I'm not having to use so much effort, because the more effort it takes, the more likely they are to break. Looks like I also flush cut these pins. That's part of the installation, just to make sure that the file's not hitting those if you're using a file. Even when I think I'm close, I still hit it with file. Oh, that's excellent. That is almost all the way to the edge there. Seems like I also had him move this notch right here. I don't know if he actually did, but the blue one was having a lot of problems hitting that. That one's not so bad. Maybe it was the black ones that were having more problem. But you can tell right there how far back the connector is. It was moved a good 3.5 millimeters. Almost looks like I could get away with not flush cutting the nubs on the bottom too, which would be nice. It's kind of a pain. Way off side to side here. Looks like I need to file top and bottom a little more. Try to file the top. That looks pretty good. I don't think it's, I mean, there's a bit of a crack you can see between this plastic and this, but I don't think that's actually caused by the connector being in there. Now, to finish up the install, let's take some rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip, get rid of the ink. And luckily with this connector, since it's through hole on the shielding, we don't need to worry about the cord acting as a lever and the plastic as a pivot point and breaking the connector off. We've not had any problems with that, and we probably never will. So yeah, desolder this 7805. Twist it out of the way. And like I said in the install guides, you can actually leave the heatsink off and the 7805 off. They're not necessary to the operation of the console anymore. But they are original parts, and it doesn't hurt to do this. And we can add some two conductor. I'm going to solder these off camera. Okay. A little cleanup here. Try to get all the swarf off the plastic edges. This is one change we made from the orange to blue. Got a nice big pad for ground now. See the difference. Had a nice big power pad, but the ground was just a little via. There's a solder bulb on right now, that's why you can't see it. Okay, it looks like somebody had a bit of trouble with the 7805 here. So I'm going to have to pull the wires back that way to try to set it over the what remains of the trace. The voltage into the 7805 on the left, ground in the middle. Even the ground hole is done. Yeah. Still plenty of structural support there though. Might actually be able to come through on the top. I'd have to look. If your traces are gone on the bottom, I don't think the voltage in the left hole, I don't think that comes through the top, but I bet there's ground on the top. And interposers. There's another trick. If your round pin or machine pin sockets start getting way too loose, they won't grab chip pins or chip legs at all. You'll have lots of problems, but you can add another set of sockets between the chip and motherboard. And that'll usually do it. These things really weren't meant for a lot of insertion and removals. Get our chips back in. 2A03 is CPU and 2CO2 PPU. Lay it over like so. The ribbon cables will line up with their respective connectors on the main board. And for the top loader Navy Famicom, I just put a piece of foam on top of the FPGA chip to hold the main board down. Oh yeah, I forgot the LED. I usually have ground on the resistor, and I usually solder it to the 72-pin connector, like so. I like to wrap the wire leads around the pin. Crimp a little bit before I solder, that way they hold themselves. And then just make sure that it's routed in this slot right here in the ribbing. And I'll just add a couple screws, hold the main board down. So we can test it. I think we're all installed here. Let's see, this end of this cord is cut already, so I'll swap them. And this end is not cut. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is not going to focus, is it? Yeah, you can see that. There's still an air gap between the rubber and the console housing. So as far as that goes, looks like we don't have to cut the cord anymore. That's great. And it works. I just don't think I had tested this main board, so this is the first test for the main board. I'll run through a couple things that I always do after installation before I put the actual console all the way back together, just in case. If something's not working, one of the first things I like to check is to make sure the flat flex cables are seated all the way. Sometimes I even pull them out without unlocking the connector, and then unlock the connector, put it back in, and relock it. Because I've actually had some with maybe some surface, not corrosion, but like tarnish or whatever, keeps the connections from happening. Like when I was doing all the testing, you know, with that kind of board and that cable, I could pull it out, put it back in there, retest, and it'd be fine. So the flat flex cable seems to be one of the major problems. And we cannot test those. We just can't. It's already taken a lot of time to test, so we're not going to do that. But I'll run the what is it? NTF2 test card, yeah. There's like 3 test cards, so I can never remember which one it is. But this one will give you the RAM test, video and work RAM, object moving, and then actual button press test. And I have on my power pack, I have the save state mappers, which has the quick reset and the quick reset when you hit start B and A. Go back and do that. Test sound, which by the way is 100% digital with high def NES kit. And there's also a color test, which I've never really understood what is that really doing for me. But if you hit select start down, you'll get a short reset, and select start up is a long reset, and that's the high def NES reset features. And then I'll go to Double Dragon, and we're looking for the speckles here. We'll see them right here in this wall. For some reason, it'll be the first place you'll see them, and I'll usually see them even during this intro, but I always go ahead and play through the first 3 guys. We'll see them in the green bricks too, but that wall is usually where they'll be. Definitely hit select left to make sure the menu comes up, but if your resets are working, then it probably will. Power pack error. I also like to play Mike Tyson's Punch Out just because it's fun. AA Vet LGA gives you more power per punch, so you can get through the guys faster. But if you don't actually want to play it, but you do want to let it run and get hot or whatever, just to make sure, just let it sit here and loop through the attract mode. That's, I mean, even if I do play a little bit, I'll still leave it here and let it loop. Sometimes I will shut it down here after playing through with you guys, put the top half of the shell on, turn it back on, and then let it loop, and just walk through every once in a while and make sure the sound is fine and the video is fine, which I have not actually noticed a problem after doing that. So it's just a precaution. So anyway, yes, Red Kit works in the top loader, which means it also works in the AV Famicom. No longer have to cut cords. So that problem is solved.